You're watching Lake Votes 2012. We are here today with Sue Ryan running for 50th District State Representative. Hello, Ms. Ryan.
Hi, Blake.
What are you doing to stay in touch with your home district while you're away at work?
Okay, well, since I'm not there yet, I'm still home, but my plan is to have an open dialogue with people as much as possible. Alliance is my home, so I will be here most of the time when the House isn't in session.
Right. Medicaid takes up the largest amount of the state budget. What are your views on this?
It's extremely important, well, I would say vital, that everyone has adequate health care, no matter what their economic situation. And if this has to be taken over by the state, if it's up to the state, then we need to be able to pay for it and make these accommodations.
Okay. Do you have a plan to increase jobs in Ohio? If so, what is it?
Well, I think everyone realizes that this is extremely important, that we have an increase in jobs, although the jobs have increased in the past few years. We have to invest in education and job training. A lot of the jobs that were taken for granted and always thought would be there years ago no longer exist. So the workforce needs to be retrained in many ways. When I went back to teaching after being off for a while, I taught kindergarten. And I remember one of the things that we were told at teacher orientation, was that the children coming into kindergarten, this was in the late 80s, before you were even thought of, I'm sure, but that these children would be having careers that we hadn't even heard of at that point. And it's true. So many times I talk to young people and they're studying this or that in college or preparing for something, and for someone who is a little beyond 30, it is like a new world, but we have to adapt and be prepared and make sure that the people entering the workforce are prepared.
Okay. Ohio has to have a balanced budget. What are your views on this budget process?
Well, it's wise that the balanced budget is necessary, it's required, because it would be a disaster if it weren't. My personal view is that a budget is an expression of a society's or a state's, whatever, priorities. And we have to make sure that there is a balance of revenue and expenditures. And when we realize that things need to be cut, when the revenue is down, we have to be very careful to ensure that the cuts or the cuts are not going to adversely affect the people who can afford it the least. We need to look at other ways to offset the deficits that we might encounter.
Okay. Do you support amending the Constitution to prohibit the legalization of gay marriage?
No. Constitutions are meant to guarantee and safeguard rights. The Constitution is not meant to deny rights to people. So I would not be in favor of a constitutional amendment for that.
Okay. What do you do with a school that is failing to meet its basic standards? Do you cut funding or increase it? Or do you let students leave or force them to stay?
I think it's a good idea to have alternate schools for children, not just as no two children are alike, no two children have the same needs. We need to be able to address that. I don't think cutting funds is going to solve any problems, but on the other hand, we don't just throw money at a bad situation hoping to make it better. There really does need to be some reform in the way these funds are spent.
Okay. So what happens to those who are left in a failing school?
They should be allowed to transfer. Like I said, there should be alternatives. I've always thought that magnet schools, within the system are good. Schools, if a child is, more science, math oriented, then if that's their strength, then maybe they should look at a program that would really emphasize emphasize that. That doesn't mean that they would eliminate, the things that they don't like, but there should be some areas that would serve every child's need. There are, performing arts schools. Every child is gifted in some way, and we need to look at those gifts and serve them.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Ryan.
You're welcome. Thank you, Blake. Very nice. Thank you.
I am Blake Beatty, and you are watching Lake Television.